Okay, so in front of us we have an RX 6800. This is the Sapphire Pulse model. So if you've come across my channel hoping to get your graphics card repaired by somebody like myself, I should note that I now have a Discord server and a repair request section with experts who live in Germany, the US, and the UK. Also, I should note that I now have a Patreon too, if you want to support the channel. Okay, so like all the broken graphics cards that we get, we want to first start by checking for a short on the base voltage rails. So the owner says that this card has no power, which suggests to me that we have a blown fuse and by extension a dead MOSFET, or I should say power stage. So we're going to start with actually the base voltage rail. So we're going to start with the PCI Express slot. Okay, so we're going to start with the PCI Express slot. So if you don't know, the first 3 pins are 12 volts. Checking any, actually no, we're going to check after the fuse in case the fuse is blown. So we're not short on either side, so we're good on 12 volts. To check 3.3 volts, we're going to start at this notch and we're going to go 4 pins left. And we're perfectly good. Okay, so now we want to check 12 volts to the 2 external 8 pins. So we're going to start with the bottom of the fuses on the left. And we're perfectly good. And now we want to check the bottom of the fuses on the right. Again, perfectly good. Now we want to go to resistance mode and check the resistances of the voltage rails generated by the card itself. So first we're going to start with 5 volts, which by the way is this inductor here. So as you can see, we have 3.7 mega ohms, very high, which is perfectly fine. Now we want to check, we're going to check 1.8 volts. So it's this, oh, hold on. It's this over here. Okay, so 2 or so kilo ohms, perfectly normal. Now we want to check the display, I think it's a display rail, I'm not sure, but the 750 millivolt rail, which is this over here. 26 ohms, perfectly normal. Now we want to check, let's check the memory. So the memory can be found on this topmost inductor here. There's actually 2 memory phases, this one and this one, I think. I think those are the only 2, I could be wrong. 21 ohms. Now we want to check the memory controller, which is this over here. 26 ohms, okay? So since we're not short anywhere, let's go ahead and turn the card on. So let's just start with the 5 volts. 5 volts typically is the first rail to turn on any graphics card. So checking this this inductor here, 4.991, so we're perfectly good there. Now let's check 1.8 volts. That's 1.8. Now let's check the 750 millivolt rail. 750, fine. Okay, memory. 1.35, okay. Now the memory controller, 900 millivolts, so perfectly normal. Let's check the V core, 900 millivolts. So yes, we actually have all voltages, presumably normal resistances, but the card is not detected. So generally speaking, for a card that has all voltages, normal resistances, there are a couple of checks that you want to do. Firstly, you want to be checking the PCIe lanes themselves in a diode mode, I should say. So in particular, there are a couple of pairs. I have a mining riser video where I go more in depth in this, but basically you want to be putting your multimeter into diode mode, and then you want to check the actual data pins themselves. Typically speaking, it's good enough just to check the first pin on the first pair of data lines on this side, as sometimes what people do is they put these cards into mining risers, insert the mining riser backwards into the motherboard, and send 3.2 volts straight to the GPU, and by extension kill it. So anyways, let's just check that first line, so 0.85, but on the other line we have 0.85, and on a random data line we have 0.85. Okay, so that doesn't seem to be a problem. The next thing you want to check is, of course, the BIOS itself. That's a rather famous one for at least RX 400 series cards. So we're not going to do that as we have a BIOS switch. Actually, since we do have a BIOS switch, let's just switch it over and see if it's any more functional. I don't think it will be, but doesn't hurt to check. Turning it on one more time. Not detected. Okay, no surprise there. Okay, so I'm going to say that it's probably not the BIOS. It's a little bit rare for the BIOS itself to be the problem. It's nice. It would be nice if it was more common, but it's not. So the next thing you will want to check is these PCIe capacitors. If I can get my probes. Okay, so these PCIe capacitors, they're connected to the data lines, PCIe lanes on the back. In particular, for a card that's not detected, it's good enough just to check the first pair on the back. And in particular, you want to make sure that they're 220 nanofarads and that they're present, which I will do off camera. If that doesn't hold out, the next possibility, of course, is that the crystal oscillator is bad. So in this case, I think the crystal oscillator is this, maybe? Anyways, typically speaking, they generate a 27 megahertz signal. This is, well, this is actually a rather rare failure, if I'm honest. It's usually a waste of time to check it. The next thing that you may want to check is actually the reset circuitry. So what you sometimes find is that components connected to this particular pin, one left of the notch, they sometimes go bad and short. So this pin on a working card is supposed to be about 3.3 volts. So that your motherboard sends 3.3, 3.4 volts down this pin, and it goes through either directly to the GPU or through a series of components to the GPU, which allows the card to initialize. If this is 0 volts, your card will be uninitialized. So I have to check where this leads to. And then you also want to check a few more data lines. So there's actually the pins that you want to focus on are actually pins 5 and 6 over here at the PCIe slot. So like I said, pins 5 and 6. These are the SM bus pins, so SM clock and SM data. About like I said, pins 5 and 6 on the PCI Express slot. So in this case, those pins actually map to a component on the back, and in particular, it maps to this component here. So anyways, you can kind of notice that there seems to be like a damaged pad on the bottom right here. I have a suspicion that we might have a missing component. I don't think it's going to be that simple though. Usually these repairs are not as straightforward as, oh, there's a missing component, and when we reinstall it, it works again. That's a little bit too easy. But anyways, this component would be equivalent to a 2N7002DW-7-F. So I'm going to go ahead and, actually, no, I've noticed that on PCB photos, this component seems to be missing on a lot of RX 6800s. I can't find an exact PCB photo for this particular card, so I'm not sure if this is supposed to have it. But like I said, on other cards, this component is not present. So I'm not sure if reinstalling this will actually do anything. But in either case, let's go ahead and actually reinstall it, and let's see if it's any more functional. Okay, so as you may be able to imagine, I have gone ahead and reinstalled that one component. So, as you will be able to see, well, not reinstalled, and I should say, because anyways, like I said, I installed a 2N7002DW-7-F. I'm pretty sure this is not supposed to be here. So anyways, just as a demonstration, let's go ahead and try to boot the card and wait for the 3 beeps that signify no graphics card has been detected. So, turning the card on, focus. Anyways, you heard those beeps, so like I was saying, the card is not detected. So at the moment, I want to make a simple test. So one of the things we want to do is, we want to check the BIOS itself on a card that has normal resistances, normal voltages, but is not detected. If you don't know, the way these GPUs work, and actually let me explain something about how GPUs work and motherboards in general, before we get to the actual test itself relating to the BIOS. So when you first insert your graphics card into your computer, your motherboard doesn't actually know it's a graphics card. It can detect that a device is inserted into some certain PCIe slot based off of a continuity between certain pins, hot plug pins, but it doesn't know that it's a graphics card. So what your motherboard does is that it probes the graphics card and asks the graphics card to identify itself. Now, the graphics card naturally tells the computer it's a graphics card. Since these GPUs don't have any long-term memory or long-term storage, they can't they don't store information. So what these GPUs have to do is they have to read and write to the BIOS chip itself, and then they have to pass along that data to the motherboard so that the motherboard knows how to interface with your graphics card or device. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because, arbitrarily speaking, your GPU cannot just read to and write to the motherboard. To the BIOS chip. It can't just freely access it. These BIOS chips are by default locked, so that noise or any interference doesn't corrupt the BIOS itself. So what the GPU has to do in order to read from and write to the BIOS chip is that it has to short a certain pin, often called chip select or chip enable. Typically, this is pin 1 on the BIOS chip. The way it works is that if the voltage at this chip select or chip enable pin is stationary, as in it's at 1.8 volts or 0 volts, the GPU cannot read from or write to the BIOS. But if the voltage is rising or falling, then the GPU can read from and write to the BIOS. So what the GPU does is that it shorts this chip select or chip enable pin, and as it's falling, it can read from and write to the BIOS, and then after it hits 0 volts, it then stops shorting this chip select or chip enable pin, and it rises from 0 volts to 1.8 volts, and as it rises, again, it can read from and write to the BIOS. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure this chip select or chip enable pin, and we're going to see if we have any activity on the actual pin itself. So anyways, just as a demonstration, I'm going to take a working card first, just so you can see what this looks like, and then we'll go ahead and do this on the RX 6800. Okay. So we have a working GTX 1070 here. The BIOS chip is on the back, and so I might have to block your view for a moment. But after I do, we'll go ahead and analyze what the signal looks like on the oscilloscope once it clears, of course. Okay, so if we look at the oscilloscope, what you notice is that when I turn the card on, the voltage rises from, at the chip select chip enable pin, rises from 0 volts to 1.8 volts. And then when the GPU needs to read to and write from the BIOS, read from and write to the BIOS, it then shorts its chip select pin, and as you can see, it does so multiple times. You can see it over here and these dips over here. So like I said, the GPU cannot read to and read from and write to the BIOS when the chip select or chip enable pin is at a stationary voltage. So if it's 1.8 volts or 0 volts, the GPU can't read from it. So it shorts, the chip select chip enable pin to 0 volts so it can read from it, and then it stops shorting it and lets it rise from 0 volts to 1.8 volts so that it can read from and write to it again, and then eventually it gets detected by the motherboard. Anyways, let's go ahead and see what this looks like on the RX 6800, and then we'll try to make a determination exactly what's gone wrong. Okay, so you heard those beeps, not detected. As you can see, the chip select or chip enable pin, it stays at a stationary 1.8 volts. So we can tell that the GPU at no point is making an attempt to read from or write to the BIOS chip itself. So our problem is likely PEX related and not BIOS related, and so we have to do a bit more digging, but it is as you can see, it's kind of a useful trick in a sense. Well, not trick, but rather, checking chip select or chip enable is kind of useful if you need to determine what's gone wrong, whether it's prior to the BIOS or afterwards. But anyways, I have to go do some digging and we'll try to figure out what's gone wrong. Okay, so I think I've made some progress on the card. So if we look at the back, there's a, okay, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but there's a pin over here called the PEX reset pin, or PERST as it's sometimes called. So this connects to a logical AND gate over here. This is marked U100. If you're wondering why this logical AND gate looks off-center, it's because I've taken it off the board and reinstalled it for testing purposes. The fact that it's off-center is actually not a hint in this case. Now, what I've noticed is that this logical AND gate's output is shorted to ground when the card is off, but not when it's on. I meant to say that the output of the logical AND gate is shorted when the card is on, but not when the card is off. So let me go ahead and just show you this as a demonstration. I have my multimeter in diode mode, so let me put my probe on the output of this logical AND gate. So as you can see, 0.87. Now, if we turn on the card, this drops to almost 0 volts. So what we can tell is that this gate is the output of this gate is being shorted when the card is on. So I think that this is our problem. I'm not too sure. Like I don't work on a lot of AMD cards or even RX 6800 cards, but I'm pretty sure that the output of this gate is supposed to be something that's not 0 volts. What's the let me put it this way. If you're an engineer and you have to design, a PCB, and let's say you use a logical AND gate to perform a check, what's the point of putting a logical AND gate there if you're just going to short the outputs? In my opinion, that's supposed to be high, and we're not supposed to have a short. So, now the reason why I bring this up is because, as far as I can tell, this logical AND gate only connects to 20 ohm resistors. There's one over here, and then there's one over here. I think, yeah, that's right, it's this one here. So the reason why I think this is relevant is because, like I said, I think these are the only 20 ohm resistors that the logical AND gate connects to. And I also think it doesn't connect to any ICs or anything else except for those two resistors, and then I think there's like another 10 kilo ohm lying around, not that I remember. So the reason why this is relevant is because we're trying to find a component that's shorting the output of our logical AND gates. If you assume that these two 0 ohm resistors are the only two 0 ohm resistors, there are a couple possibilities. So firstly, the logical AND gate itself could be shorting its own output. This is possible. The second possibility is that whatever component is shorting our logical AND gate's output is this resistor. I mean to say that it's shorted through this resistor. And the third is that it's, the component shorting the logical AND gate's output is shorting it through this resistor. So in theory, if there is some external component and it's shorting it through one of these two resistors, when you take off one of these two resistors, that signal should no longer be shorted. So let's go ahead and take it off, and let's see if our logical AND gate's output is still being shorted. Okay, so I should note that I've now removed both the resistor over here as well as the one over here that connects to our logical AND gate. So let's see if our logical AND gate's output is still getting shorted. So like I said, I think those are the only two 0 ohm resistors, which means that if it's getting shorted by some other components other than the logical AND gates, it should be through one of those resistors. So let's now, okay, so we have open line while the card is off. Let's turn it on. And it gets shorted once again. Okay, if those really are the only two 0 ohm resistors and there's no other ICs, then it must be the logical AND gate itself. Let's go ahead and replace it and see if the card's any more functional. Okay, so as you saw, I replaced the logical AND gate over here on this side of the board. I'm not sure how obviously it'll be on camera. So anyways, it's you should know that these logical AND gates, they're equivalent to, I think it's a M74 VHC 1G08. I might have the name wrong, but whatever it is, I will link in the description. So let's go ahead and see if the card now boots. Alright, probe on vCore. Okay, so that's the vCore, that's a good sign. And we have an image. There we go. As you can see, the screen is actually corrupted. If you're wondering why it's corrupted, it's because my motherboard has a non-UEFI BIOS, which gives it compatibility issues with modern AMD cards. But in either case, let's go ahead and put the cooler on and stress test it. Okay, so as you can see, the card's running game. It's been running game for about an hour now, I think, at this point. Anyways, so I'm not going to go over GPU-Z. It's kind of a bore. The card works, which is all we really need to know. So I'll be honest, I don't get to cover too many AMD cards. You know, I'm kind of glad I got this one. You know, RX 6000 cards are kind of rare. AMD cards are kind of rare on this channel too. And then a card with normal voltages and normal resistances is, again, kind of rare. You know, these cards tend to be rabbit holes, and yet we have a working card. But anyways, I should note that if you want to support the channel, I now have a Patreon. You know, I have donation tiers between $1 and $50, which you know, if you have a money spare, and only if you have a money spare, that would definitely help out. Otherwise, I hope you learned something watching this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.